Hello, it's Joe from Papa Jobo's, and welcome to All Nerddom on Earth. Today, I'm going to be talking about Star Wars, the Galactic Star Cruiser, and the disaster that I believe it to be. Before we get started, this is my second video, so I wanted to tell you just a tiny bit about myself. If I get to a point where you guys want to hear more, I'll tell you a lot more about myself. But the reality is I like Star Wars. I love old school Star Wars. Disney Star Wars is not Star Wars to me. The Mando was okay, and then I learned it was going to lead into places I didn't want to go, and I had no interest in it. Also, Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger have absolutely destroyed this franchise, and specifically the fan base. I mean, who does that? There's reportedly a document that went around that talked about them not wanting their 50-year-old fan base or something along those lines. And who in their right mind takes a built-in fan base and goes, let's get rid of them? Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I think we should get rid of all that. Hey guys, let's get rid of all that money. It's asinine. I don't get it at all. But that's what they've chosen to do. And I think there's a lot more to it than just trying to get a new fan base. I think there is a message behind it. I think cultural Marxism comes into play. I'm somebody who enjoyed Star Wars since I was 3 years old. I went into a theater at 3 years old. I remember watching The Empire Strikes Back. Vaguely remember what happened there, but I do remember very strongly the snow scenes, the Hoth scenes, right? Those were wonderful. Then you fast forward to Return of the Jedi. I remember the theater I watched that in. It was one of the best experiences of my life. I'm not going to bore you too much with that. If you guys want to hear more, I'll do a more in-depth detail on myself. Let's get into this Galactic Star Cruiser disaster. The first thing I want to point out to you is stuff like this. We have Kathleen Kennedy here, who's apparently in charge of the Starship Cruiser. Look, that is a direct, it looks so much like her, I don't even know if you can deny it. Some things I want to talk about with the cruiser are this. I'm not here to rip on the crew or the actors. They're there for a job. That's fine. I'm not going to rip on the food. The food looks good. I'm not going to rip on the workers who made the set. They didn't design it. They just built it. Does this look fine for something from Tomorrowland? Yeah, it does. It looks fine for something from Tomorrowland, but for Star Wars, heck no. This looks, I can't tell you what this looks like to me. It looks so boring and bland. And you have a bunch of people out there, shills, who are actually saying how great this place is, and they go through and they don't have nary a bad word to say about it. The problem that I'm seeing that goes deeper than what this is and what the shill reviews are is that cultural Marxism comes into play here. If you don't know what cultural Marxism is, I would advise two things. One, you're going to want to type it in to Google to get a view on what Google thinks about it. Cultural Marxism to them is a far-right anti-Semitic conspiracy theory which claims that Western Marxism is the basis of continuing academic and intellectual efforts to subvert Western culture. I've never heard it in my life associated with being anti-Semitic. What I have heard is this. If you go to DuckDuckGo, you're going to get a much more in-depth and honest view on it. One of them is from the Ezra Institute. That's pretty good. There's some other ones there too. But basically, it goes on to tell you, cultural Marxists portray one pole of the binary, women, homosexuals, millennials, blacks, as oppressed and demand that the state liberate them from oppression. Oppression here almost never means literal enslavement, abuse, or assault. Rather, it means disrespect, disapproval, or social inequity. That's the key part. That's cultural Marxism in America today. In other words, deconstruct, dehumanize, and demean people and destroy. There's a bunch of D's in there, but that's part of what's going on here. So if you go back to Star Wars, the Galactic Star Cruiser, and just the story as a whole, you can look at what they did to Luke Skywalker. They did all that, right? They had him drinking green booby milk. They put him on an island, made him really angry. I mean, we all know what they did to him, and it was disgusting. They deconstructed, they dehumanized, and they destroyed him. They did the same thing to Han Solo, made him a deadbeat dad. We all know that story by now. It's pretty simple. You just have to go through and watch what they're doing on these clips. I mean, they've embraced the sequel trilogy. By the way, Kathleen Kennedy was never going anywhere. I said that about 4 years ago to people and got lambasted by a few people for it. Not all, but people thought I was a bit nuts. I knew she was not going anywhere because this is about a message, and it goes much deeper than what Star Wars is. If you can connect, I know a lot of people don't like politics, but a lot of people are getting red-pilled, and that is a very good thing because a lot of people in the beginning did not see what I was seeing and not see what a few other people were seeing. That cultural Marxism is slowly inundating, and at a much more rapid pace now, inundating our society and specifically our entertainment. The people who are in charge of this understand how deeply meaningful this stuff is to us. And they went, huh. My guess is they went, huh, yeah, this is something we need to infiltrate. Infiltrate, I don't know if that's the right word. But a lot of them were taught how to do these things in school or from parents or from whatever. And they came in and they took it over. They've taken over Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Doctor Who. I'm not a Doctor Who fan. I've never seen it, but I know that from other channels I watch. There's also Star Trek, which I do watch, and the list just goes on and on and on. You know, you had Cowboy Bebop, which was a disaster. You have The Witcher, which I like some of those episodes in the first season as someone who's never read the books. But anyway, back to the Galactic Star Cruiser. So you're getting things like this. A scene where Kathleen Kennedy is out there in force. It's not really Kathleen Kennedy. It's an actress that looks like her. But if you look at the scenes from this, it just looks cheesy. It looks poorly done. And like I said, I'm not going to rip on the people who were paid to build this. They built it the way the designers wanted them to. Well, what's the message the designers are trying to get across? It's, we will never, ever go back to what Star Wars was. We will never secede anything to you. We've drawn the line here, and this is how it's going to be. You have, you know, this person from another site who's just shilling for it. Again, if you look at the background, if you look at the construction, I'm not going to rip on the people who constructed it. Why would I? It doesn't even make sense. They're not there going, oh man, these people are trying to destroy Star Wars. Maybe some of them were, I don't know. But they did the best they could with what they had. And then you get into the storyline behind it. And then you got scenes like this where Rey is fighting Darth Helmet. Let's take a look at it. She's got a lightsaber that if they'd made it back in the day, it's kind of a cool little effect there. But she has to put it down and run with this one. Again, I'm not going to rip on the actors. It's fine. They're doing what they're paid to do. But the storyline, Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, Chapek is now carrying it on. It's all just ridiculous. It's the people who are higher up. You know, it's the Bob Iger who started all this. I mean, this is, make no mistakes, this is a Bob Iger production and mistake. Kathleen Kennedy is on board. A lot of people have theories about why she's still there. I think it's just about the message. I think there's some other things we could talk about a little later, but I wholeheartedly believe it's about the message, making sure that their message of the Force is female. Remember that? The Force is female. When she did that, from the second she did that, I looked at that and went, holy cow, this is about deconstructing Star Wars. And that's what they've done. I mean, Star Wars Galactic Battlecruiser. Tell me what you think about the way it looks, what you think about, say, the food, the workers, people who worked on it. Do you think that they are part of this? Do you think this just flows down from the top? I think it's totally from Iger and Kathleen Kennedy and now Filoni and Favreau. Favreau, someone who I wanted to believe in, is just not a good person. Didn't back Gina Carano, who, you know, I didn't know who she was until The Mandalorian. But now that I do, obviously I back her 100%. And I'm kind of rambling here, but the point is, Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is a disaster. It is something that Disney didn't listen to any of the true fans on. They want the normies to be there. They don't care about us. That's the sad part, man. I mean, honestly, that made me so mad when they ripped the fandom apart and said, we don't care about these people. Like, who does that to Star Wars, a place where I used to just enjoy every day if I got to be involved in Star Wars in any way? Tell me what you think in the comments about this disaster that I think is a disaster in terms of story, in terms of storytelling and from the top down. Thank you for watching, Papa Jobo. I'm Joe. Peace.